Geometry is a very interesting part of mathematics. It helps us understand shapes. It also helps us understand sizes. We can learn about the space around us too. Think about the world. It is full of different shapes. Some shapes are small, some shapes are very big. Geometry studies all of these. The word geometry comes from Greek words. Geo means earth. Metron means measurement. So geometry means measuring the earth. This was its first purpose. People needed to measure land long ago. Geometry is not just about measuring land anymore. It has grown much bigger. It is about points and lines. It is about angles and surfaces. It is also about solid objects. You see geometry in nature. A honeycomb has a geometric pattern. A snowflake has a beautiful geometric shape. Planets move in geometric paths. Even your own body has parts with geometric forms. Understanding these forms helps us understand the world better. Geometry gives us tools to describe these things. It gives us rules to follow. And this guide will help you learn about geometry. We will start with simple ideas. We will look at different types of geometry. You will see many examples. These examples will make things clear. Geometry can seem hard at first, but it is like learning a new game. Once you know the rules, it becomes fun. We will learn about flat shapes. We will also learn about shapes that have depth. These are called solid shapes. You use geometry every day. You might not even realize it. So let's begin our journey into geometry. Geometry has a very long and rich history. It started in ancient times. People in ancient Egypt used geometry. They needed it for farming. The Nile River would flood each year. The floods would wash away land boundaries, so they needed a way to measure the land again. This helped them redraw the property lines accurately. They also used geometry to build big structures. Think about the Great Pyramids. These amazing buildings required precise geometric knowledge. The Egyptians were very practical geometers. The ancient Greeks also loved geometry. They thought about it differently. They were not just interested in practical uses, they wanted to understand the reasons behind it. A famous Greek mathematician was Euclid. He is often called the father of geometry. Around 300 BC, he wrote a book called Elements. This book was very important. It organized all the known geometry of his time. He started with basic definitions and postulates. Then he logically proved many geometric theorems. His work was used for over 2,000 years. Other cultures also contributed to geometry. The Babylonians knew about the Pythagorean theorem. They knew it even before Pythagoras. They used it for calculations. People in ancient India also made important geometric discoveries. They used geometry in their religious rituals. They needed to build altars of specific shapes and sizes. This led to complex geometric constructions. The Chinese also developed their own geometric traditions. They focused on practical problems as well. They used it for engineering and astronomy. Over many centuries, geometry continued to grow. New ideas were added. And in the 17th century, René Descartes combined algebra and geometry. This created analytic geometry. We will learn more about that later. This was a huge step. It allowed people to use equations to describe shapes. Geometry is still developing today. New fields like fractal geometry have emerged. Geometry is a subject that has always been evolving. It has adapted to new needs and new ideas. Its history shows how humans have always tried to understand space. Plane geometry is a type of geometry. It deals with flat shapes. These shapes can be drawn on a piece of paper. They have only 2 dimensions. These dimensions are usually length and width. Think about a shadow on the ground. A shadow is flat. It does not have any thickness. Plane geometry studies shapes like these. It is sometimes called Euclidean geometry. This is because it is based on the work of Euclid. It is the first type of geometry most people learn. In plane geometry, we study many different figures. We learn about points. A point is just a location. It has no size. We learn about lines. A line is a straight path. It goes on forever in both directions. We also study line segments. A line segment is a part of a line. It has 2 endpoints. Angles are another important concept. An angle is formed when 2 lines meet. We measure angles in degrees. You see angles everywhere. The corner of a book is an angle. We also study closed shapes in plane geometry. These are called polygons. A triangle is a polygon with 3 sides. A square is a polygon with 4 equal sides. A rectangle also has 4 sides. Its opposite sides are equal. A circle is another important plane shape. It is a set of points. All these points are the same distance from a center point. We learn how to find the perimeter of these shapes. The perimeter is the distance around the shape. We also learn to find the area. The area is the space inside the shape. Plane geometry is very useful. Architects use it to design floor plans for buildings. Artists use it to create perspective in their drawings. Graphic designers use it to make logos and layouts. When you play a game on a board, you are using plane geometry. Understanding how these flat shapes work is fundamental. It forms the basis for understanding more complex geometry. It helps us describe and measure the flat surfaces we see and use every day. It is all about the world of two dimensions. Solid geometry takes us into a three-dimensional world. Unlike plane geometry, solid geometry deals with shapes that have thickness. These shapes have three dimensions: length, width, and height. Think about a box. You can hold it. It takes up space. This is a solid shape. Solid geometry studies these kinds of objects. These objects are all around us in the real world. Your chair is a solid object. A ball is a solid object. Even an ice cream cone is a solid object. There are many types of solid shapes. One common solid shape is a cube. A cube has 6 flat faces. All its faces are squares. A die used in board games is a cube. Another solid shape is a rectangular prism. A shoebox is an example of a rectangular prism. It also has 6 flat faces, but they are rectangles. A sphere is a perfectly round, solid shape. A basketball or a marble is a sphere. Every point on the surface of a sphere is the same distance from its center. We also study cones and cylinders in solid geometry. A cone has a flat circular base. It comes to a point at the top. An ice cream cone is a good example. A party hat can also be a cone. A cylinder has 2 flat circular bases. It has a curved side connecting them. A can of soup or a pipe is a cylinder. For these solid shapes, we learn about different properties. We study their faces, edges, and vertices. Faces are the flat surfaces. Edges are where the faces meet. Vertices are the corners. In solid geometry, we also learn to calculate 2 important things. One is surface area. The surface area is the total area of all the surfaces of a solid object. Imagine you want to wrap a gift box. The amount of wrapping paper you need is its surface area. The other important calculation is volume. Volume is the amount of space a solid object occupies. If you want to know how much water a bottle can hold, you need to find its volume. Solid geometry helps us understand and measure the three-dimensional world. Section 5, Numbers Meet Shapes. An introduction to analytic geometry. Analytic geometry is, well, a fascinating branch of geometry. It is sometimes called coordinate geometry. It was developed by René Descartes and Pierre de Fermat in the 17th century. This type of geometry connects algebra and geometry. It uses a coordinate system. You might have seen a graph with an x-axis and a y-axis. This is a Cartesian coordinate system. It allows us to describe geometric shapes using equations. It also lets us represent algebraic equations as shapes. This connection is very powerful. The basic idea is to give every point in a plane an address. This address is a pair of numbers. These numbers are called coordinates. For example, a point might be at 3, 4. This means it is 3 units along the x-axis and it is 4 units along the y-axis. Once we can define points with numbers, we can do more. We can find the distance between 2 points using a formula. We can find the midpoint of a line segment. These calculations use algebraic methods. Using analytic geometry, we can write equations for shapes. A straight line can be represented by an equation like y equals mx plus c. Here, m is the slope of the line. The slope tells us how steep the line is. C is the y-intercept. This is where the line crosses the y-axis. A circle can also be described by an equation. For example, x squared plus y squared equals r squared is the equation of a circle. Its center is at the origin 0, 0. Its radius is r. Other shapes like parabolas, ellipses, and hyperbolas also have their own equations. Analytic geometry is extremely useful. It is used in many fields. Engineers use it to design structures and machines. Physicists use it to describe the paths of objects. Computer graphics heavily rely on analytic geometry. Every time you see a shape drawn on a computer screen, analytic geometry is at work. It helps to translate geometric ideas into numbers that computers can understand. It allows us to solve geometric problems using algebraic tools. This makes many complex problems much easier to handle. It truly bridges 2 important areas of mathematics. Section 6, the building blocks, key concepts and definitions in geometry. To understand geometry, we need to know its basic building blocks. These are fundamental concepts and definitions. Let's start with a point. A point shows a location. It has no size, no length, no width, and no thickness. We usually represent a point with a dot and name it with a capital letter like point A. Even though we draw a dot, remember that a true geometric point is infinitely small. It just marks a position in space. Points are the very foundation of all other geometric figures. Next, we have a line. Imagine connecting 2 points. Now imagine extending that connection forever in both directions. That is a line. A line is perfectly straight. It has length, but no width or thickness. So we can name a line using 2 points on it, like line AB. Or we can name it with a single lowercase letter, like line L. A line segment is a part of a line. It has 2 definite endpoints. A ray is like a half line. It starts at one point and goes on forever in one direction. Think of a beam of light from a flashlight. Angles are another crucial concept. An angle is formed when 2 rays share a common endpoint. This common endpoint is called the vertex of the angle. The 2 rays are called the sides of the angle. We measure angles in units called degrees. A right angle measures 90 degrees. It looks like the corner of a square. An acute angle measures less than 90 degrees. An obtuse angle measures more than 90 degrees, but less than 180 degrees. A straight angle measures 180 degrees. It looks like a straight line. Finally, let's talk about polygons. A polygon is a closed shape. It is made of straight line segments. These segments are called sides. The points where the sides meet are called vertices. Triangles are polygons with 3 sides. Quadrilaterals are polygons with 4 sides. Examples include squares, rectangles, and rhombuses. Pentagons have 5 sides. Hexagons have 6 sides, and so on. Circles are not polygons because they are curved. A circle is a set of all points in a plane that are the same distance from a central point. This distance is called the radius. Section 7. Geometry in our world. Practical applications all around us. Geometry is not just a subject studied in classrooms, it has many practical applications in our daily lives. You might be surprised by how often you use geometry without even thinking about it. When you arrange furniture in a room, you're using geometric concepts. You think about space, shape, and distance. When you hang a picture on a wall, you try to make it straight and centered. This involves an intuitive understanding of lines and symmetry. Even cutting a pizza into equal slices uses ideas about angles and circles. Many professions rely heavily on geometry. Architects and engineers use geometry constantly. Architects design buildings. They need to calculate angles, areas, and volumes. They ensure structures are stable and safe. Engineers design roads, bridges, and machines. They use geometry to create precise plans and models. For example, designing a car involves complex geometric shapes. These shapes affect its aerodynamics and performance. Surveyors use geometry to measure land and create maps. This is very similar to the ancient uses of geometry. Art and design are also full of geometry. Artists use perspective to create the illusion of depth on a flat canvas. Perspective is based on geometric principles. Patterns in fabrics, tiles, and wallpapers often use geometric shapes and tessellations. Graphic designers use geometry to create visually appealing layouts for websites, posters, and magazines. They work with shapes, alignment, and proportion. Even photographers use geometry. They think about composition, lines, and framing to take good pictures. The rule of thirds in photography is a geometric concept. Technology today is deeply intertwined with geometry. Computer graphics, which are used in movies, video games, and simulations, are built on geometric algorithms. Programmers need to understand geometry to create realistic, three-dimensional worlds and characters. Robotics is another field where geometry is essential. Robots need to navigate space and manipulate objects. This requires calculations involving position, orientation, and movement. From planning a garden to navigating with GPS, geometry helps us interact with and shape our world. Its applications are truly diverse and important. Section 8. Learning made easy. Tips and tricks for mastering geometry. Learning geometry can be an enjoyable experience. There are several tips and tricks that can help you understand and remember its concepts. One of the best ways to learn geometry is to visualize. Try to see the shapes and concepts in your mind. When you read about a triangle or a cube, picture it, better yet, draw it. Drawing shapes helps you understand their properties. Don't worry if your drawings are not perfect. The act of drawing itself helps to reinforce the ideas. Use different colors to highlight different parts like sides, angles, or faces. Another helpful tip is to use real-world objects. Geometry is all around you. Find examples of geometric shapes in your home or outside. A can of food is a cylinder. A book is a rectangular prism, a plate is a circle. Handling these objects can make abstract concepts more concrete. You can also build models of shapes. Use straws and connectors to build polygons and polyhedra. Use clay to form spheres or cones. This hands-on approach makes learning active and engaging. It helps you to see, do, and understand. Practice is very important in geometry. Just like in any other skill, work through many different types of problems. Start with simple ones and gradually move to more complex ones. When you solve a problem, try to explain the steps to yourself or to someone else. This will help you check your understanding. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are part of the learning process. Learn from them. If you get stuck on a problem, don't give up. Take a break and come back to it later with a fresh mind. Finally, make use of available resources. Your textbook is a good starting point. There are also many online resources like videos, interactive tutorials, and practice websites. Ask questions. If you don't understand something, ask your teacher or a classmate. Working in study groups can also be beneficial. Explaining concepts to others can deepen your own understanding. Create flashcards for important definitions, formulas, and theorems. Review them regularly. With patience and consistent effort, you can master geometry and even find it fun. Section 9. Why geometry matters. Its significance in daily life. Geometry is much more than just a branch of mathematics. It is a fundamental way of understanding and interacting with the world around us. Its significance in daily life is immense, often in ways we don't consciously recognize. Every time you estimate the distance to an object or figure out if a piece of furniture will fit through a doorway, you're using geometric thinking. When you follow a map or give directions, you are relying on your spatial reasoning skills. These skills are developed and honed through the study of geometry. The importance of geometry extends to many areas of human activity. It is crucial for problem solving. Geometry teaches logical reasoning and deductive thinking. When you prove a geometric theorem, you learn to build a logical argument step by step. This skill is transferable to many other fields and situations in life. Whether you're planning a project, making a decision, or analyzing a situation, the ability to think logically and systematically is invaluable. Geometry helps to cultivate this critical thinking ability from an early age. Furthermore, geometry plays a vital role in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields. Careers in these areas often require a strong foundation in geometry. Scientists use geometry to model complex systems, from the structure of molecules to the movements of galaxies. Engineers, as we discussed, use it extensively in design and construction. Computer programmers use it in areas like computer vision, robotics, and game development. Even fields like medicine use geometry, for example, in medical imaging techniques like MRI and CT scans, to understand the shapes and structures within the human body. In essence, geometry helps us make sense of space and shape. It provides a language to describe and analyze our physical environment. It fosters creativity and innovation. By understanding geometric principles, we can design more efficient tools, create more beautiful art, and build more sustainable structures. It empowers us to be better thinkers, better problem solvers, and more informed citizens. The study of geometry not only enriches our minds, but also equips us with practical skills that are essential for navigating and shaping the modern world. Its beauty lies in its logic and its power in its applicability.